What's up guys, I'm Chris and we are back today with another video. Today we're gonna make a delicious meal. It's that Peruvian style whole chicken, some yellow rice, and a delicious jalapeno creamy sauce that will bring it all together. One of my all-time favorite recipes and the best chicken and rice dish you will ever make. Let's get started. I love utilizing a whole chicken because of those extra nutrients you're getting compared to chicken breasts, which a lot of people use. I have a pasture-raised soy corn-free chicken, super high quality from a local farm here. I love this because you get all those nutrients from the skin and the bones that you're not getting from traditional muscle meats. You get lots of collagen, gelatin, and that amino acid glycine that I always talk about. That's super important to balance the amino acids from those muscle meats. So we're gonna go ahead and start by making the marinade. We'll marinate that chicken for a little while. We'll get working on the sauce, the rice, and then we're gonna throw it in a very cool piece of equipment, that rotisserie. This marinade is delicious, and you could absolutely use this for any other cut of chicken. It's lime, olive oil, garlic, and a lot of spices, just a drop of honey. It's gonna be delicious. It makes it super juicy. Big trick is to make sure we get a lot of that marinade underneath the skin if we're using chicken pieces, because that will actually penetrate the meat and make it much more flavorful. So that's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna go ahead and get started now. Start by doing the garlic. I'm gonna use about 5 cloves or so, but you can use as many as you'd like. I like to just pound it. This is what they teach you in culinary school. I need my sous chef for this to peel the garlic. This is one of my least favorite things to do in the kitchen. Another thing I love about the whole chicken is you eat all the meat off it, you keep that carcass and the bones, and you can make a delicious bone broth with it. So it's a great way to utilize the whole animal. It's very sustainable as well. So we have some garlic in there. Gonna use some good quality olive oil. You could use avocado oil as well. Gonna go in with about a 1/4 cup or so. I'm not gonna measure anything, but I will leave the exact ingredients in the caption. Juice of 2 limes. Do a tablespoon of salt. I ran out of fine salt, so I'm using the flaky. No worries. We're gonna do some smoked paprika. You could use regular. We're also gonna do some smoked black pepper, and we could also use regular pepper. I just like that smoky flavor. About 2 teaspoons of this paprika. It's gonna give it some nice color too on that bird. Teaspoon or so of cumin. Teaspoon or so of oregano. Probably went a little bit over on every ingredient, that's fine. And lastly, smoked black pepper. It smells so good. Nice smoky flavor. When I buy a house, I'll buy a smoker and we'll do those videos. And about a teaspoon or so, just a drop of honey, a little sweetness. And that's it. Simple marinade, but will be delicious. So this is the least fun part, dealing with the chicken. It will be worth it, but we want to make sure we pat it dry. We don't want a ton of juice like oozing out when we're gonna marinate it. And like I said earlier, we wanna make sure we get that marinade under the skin. So we're gonna have to get the hands dirty on this one, but it's all good. And I like to do this on a big cutting board just so it doesn't get stuff everywhere in your kitchen. Just wanna make sure we disinfect the area afterwards, just to be safe. So I'm just gonna put some paper towels down. I use way too many paper towels when I'm cooking. And this is a very fresh chicken. I believe it was slaughtered less than 2 weeks ago. This is why you get stuff from local farms. I can't even get it out. See, this is why this is no fun. Chicken is not the best to deal with. For chicken, for me, it's very important if we're gonna use fatty chicken with the skin, with the fat, to get pasture raised, because the fat content is gonna be a lot better quality than like a typical chicken at the grocery store. Now, obviously that's still a lot healthier than processed food, but rule of thumb is if you're buying meat from somewhere you don't necessarily trust, it's always better to go leaner because most of the toxins are stored in that fat. So to be careful, you just wanna choose something a little bit leaner if it's somewhere you don't trust. But this is from a local farm, fresh, corn and soy free. The fat content here is gonna be a lot healthier. So we patted this nice and dry. What I'm gonna do is just try to get under the breasts here. And I'm gonna go in on this side, because as you can see, you can get under there a little bit. Not the best, but it will work. This should be blurred out.
Dude, I was like, man, I don't like this.
Sorry. And then we just wanna get over here in these drumsticks. So many things I could say right now. I'm not saying anything. All we're doing here is just releasing the skin a little bit from the meat and just gonna be able to get the marinade in there. Again, I know it's nasty. I know it looks a little off-putting, but it will be worth it. I'm also just gonna put a couple paper towels inside just to get any excess juice out of there. But already almost done handling it, so. All right, we're nice and dry. I'll give it a couple more just because I want to use up more paper towels. I just don't want the juice dripping out when it starts to cook. It's gonna prevent the skin from getting as crispy. Now, tricky part is getting that under there and being able to marinate it in a Ziploc bag. You could do two things. You could leave it on like a glass tray and just leave it in the fridge, or you can transfer it to a Ziploc bag, which will allow you to just tighten it and get that marinade on it a little bit better. Either way, it's gonna do the job, but I'm gonna try to do it in a Ziploc. This marinade smells amazing. So what I'm gonna do is get a Ziploc ready. I'm gonna get as much as I can under the skin. Then I'm gonna put it in a bag and put the rest of the marinade in there to get the outside. Having a sous chef for this one will be helpful, just so you don't have to touch everything and wash your hands a million times with the bird hands. All right, let's do this. I think we're gonna need to do like a warning on this video, like it's rated R. Scoop up some of this marinade. Oh yeah. All right, so as you can see here, you can then kind of move it around with your hands on top, and all that's gonna get in there. Do the same to the other side. Some of it will drip out, but that's fine. This breast would be the best chicken breast you've ever had, I'll tell you. This one's a little trickier, trying to get it near the drumstick. Just gonna go like that, and move it with my finger. And then you can see that color has gotten in there. Same on the other side. I'll be honest, you could totally do it without, and it would be good without it, but I would say it is worth the extra couple minutes, although the chicken may not consent to it. So all that marinade's in there. Now when it's cooking, it's just gonna be melting in the meat, and that's what's really gonna take that flavor up a notch. I'll put one or two more underneath. Most of that meat is on this side, so I'm not gonna really put it under the skin on the other side. But again, a lot of it will drip down over there anyway as it's in that rotisserie, and then the rest we're gonna use for the outside. So we're under there nice and good. I'll put one more in the drumsticks. What's the worst that could happen? That's probably about 2/3 of the marinade under there. Now we're just gonna pop it in this Ziploc without getting the outside chicken juicy. I don't know if that's the correct English, but all right, cool. Just gonna dump the rest of the marinade in here. I'm gonna try to drip it on both sides. All right, so we got it. I'm just gonna move it around a little bit. Now, it's gonna look like there's not too much marinade on the outside, but keep in mind, as it's cooking, a lot of that fat and marinade is gonna drip off, and we're gonna use a brush to baste it as it's cooking. So that's gonna get a lot of that fat, a lot of that flavor on the outside of the skin, but obviously there's still a good amount of the marinade on the outside. Just mixing around a little bit. If it's looking a little dry, you could add a little extra olive oil in there too, just to disperse it a little bit better. And then I'm just gonna suck the air out of it.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
She's ready for the most part. Now, mine was still a little cold and frozen, and I'm cooking it pretty quickly. Ideally, you leave it in the fridge overnight or at least a few hours, and that's just gonna be even better, but regardless, it's gonna be delicious. So, gonna set this aside. We're gonna work on the sauce, the rice, and we'll pop that in there. And now I'm just gonna disinfect the area a little bit. I love this Symbiotica multi-purpose cleaner, non-toxic. All right, so we started the chicken marinating, and we're gonna go ahead and make the sauce now. Sauce is like a cream-based sauce with a little bit of sour cream. I love Good Culture, super high quality stuff. Most sour cream is not great in the supermarket. We're gonna use a little avocado mayo. It's gonna give it that creamy base, those two. And then for the flavor, a little cilantro, some jalapeños, up to you if you want to keep the seeds or not, depending on how spicy you like it. A little lime juice, a little garlic, a little olive oil. One of my favorite sauces for chicken. This is also great for meal prep if you're just doing like a leaner chicken breast. It's really good to add some flavor, to add some texture as well. So let's do it. So we don't want this crazy garlicky, but we'll add like 2 cloves. I found these Go Wipe. They are organic fruit and vegetable wipes. Super easy to like clean produce before you use it. So I'm gonna use these for the jalapenos. So we're gonna use about a 1/2 cup or so of avocado mayo. It is a little bit fatty, so just keep that in mind. You could also use Greek yogurt as the base. Be a little bit higher protein, a little bit less fat. Then we're gonna do about a 1/4 cup sour cream. Doesn't matter too much. You just wanna get that cream base. So this looks like about a 1/4 cup. You could probably just use one or the other, honestly, as well. And of course, you can always adjust it as you taste it. That's why I'm not gonna measure anything. Jalapenos, I'm gonna keep the seeds in one of them. And then I'm going to get rid of the seeds in the other two. It'll give it a good amount of spice without just like completely overpowering. Cut the sides like this when I don't want the seeds. Try to avoid your hands. One time I had a serrano pepper and I just shaved, touched it with my hands and just touched my mustache for 1 second. That was burning for maybe 4 hours. I was so desperate, I got a cup of milk and a paper towel. And I was just putting the paper towel in the milk and just soaking it on my mustache. It was the only thing that gave me any relief. Just gonna throw these in the blender. You know what? Now I'm a little scared of all these seeds. I think I'm gonna hone it back with the seeds. Good chunk went in there from that last one. I can always add a little cayenne or something. I'll give it a couple seeds just so you guys don't think I'm a pussy. 3 jalapenos. Just gonna rip off a good chunk of cilantro like this. Throw those 2 garlic cloves in there. And then the juice of 1 lime. If I'm ever marinating something, I like to just give it a flip every half hour, hour or so, just because all the marinade's gonna go to the bottom and it would just make sure it's marinating evenly. Just gonna add a drizzle of olive oil. And then we're gonna add a good chunk of salt. We're gonna blend this up. I'm gonna start with just a pulse. It's feeling a little bit loose. All right, let's taste it. Looks exactly what we want. So good. I might just do this as a smoothie. Just gonna add a pinch of salt. And honestly, that's all it needs. Blend that one more time, and I'm gonna just transfer it to a mason jar. Keep it in the fridge. Probably could have put some more seeds. I knew I shouldn't have second guessed myself, but it does have a decent kick. Oh, just gonna add a squeeze of lime. That's gonna be so good on the chicken. Looks like a shamrock shake. All right, so we made our chicken marinade, we made our sauce, that is in the fridge. Now we're gonna go ahead and start cooking that chicken, and we're gonna use a very special piece of equipment, one of my favorite things to use. Let me grab it. And this is the Emerald 360 air fryer. I don't really use it to air fry, but I do use it for a rotisserie chicken. This thing is awesome. It's got the French doors, all kinds of settings. You're gonna see how beautiful this chicken comes out using this thing. All right, so this is by far the worst part. Don't worry, don't worry. We'll get it done. We wanna tie this up so as it's spinning, the wings and the drumsticks aren't like falling off. It's a little slippery, slimy to deal with, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm gonna do my best to tie this up. I'm just gonna cut a bunch like this. I'm gonna tie it up nice and tight, and then we're gonna use this rod, which we will stick in either side, and that's what we'll use to get that going. Always better to cut them a little bit longer. I have some just butcher's twine. I'm gonna cut like 5 just to have, because I'll probably throw one out. I'll always do this, not tie it good enough. I'll put it in the rotisserie and then I'll see the wings like falling off, dragging on the bottom. And I'm just watching it for like 45 minutes. The tying it tight is what makes it hard. All right, time to get the hands dirty once again. So we have a little excess marinade. I'm gonna wait till after I tie it to just pour that on, all right? Because it's gonna be all messed up when I put the twine all over it. People are gonna see this and be like, I'm never doing that. All right, so first one is the legs, and I'm gonna tie it like this. And this one, I'm gonna do just the legs. Then we're gonna do another one that goes over the entire thing. So what I'm gonna do here is give it a nice tie. Some chef is gonna see this and be like, this guy is an idiot. He has no clue what he's doing. So we're gonna get that nice and tight here to go like this so it stays tight. I'm gonna do a little loop-de-loop. All right, and then with the scissors, I'm just gonna cut the excess off. All right, so this one seems pretty sturdy. Next one, I'm gonna do around the entire thing here and the drumsticks. I'd much rather put too much and make it sturdy than it starts coming apart as it's cooking. See, this already is starting to come up too much. You see, I've done this a few times, it drives me crazy, but the end product is so good that I keep doing it. So that's all you need to know. So I got 2 around there, that should be good, hopefully. Now the next one is the wings. The wings are usually what be flailing all over the place. So we're gonna put one right here. I'm gonna put it on the outside of the wings. Go really tight.
Does the chicken have a safe word?
Pineapple.
Do you remember your safe word?
All right, it seems pretty sturdy. So we're gonna do one more right in the middle with the drumsticks. And then I think that should be the last one. Don't hold me to that though. You really want it to be as tight as possible. I think it will work. Not the best one, loosened up a little bit. But I think this should be good. Looks good. And I'm gonna make sure I get all this extra marinade on it before I cook it. But it seems pretty sturdy, so we're gonna roll with it. Now, the next annoying part. Basically, you tie this here, or not tie it, but you tighten it. We wanna go right down the middle, and we want this to go in the meat so it's nice and sturdy. So I'm gonna start on this side. And it's gonna come right out there. Ooh, God. Actually, I messed this up. This is supposed to go in, so this outside can sit in the rotisserie. So what I'm gonna do is just push the spikes in right there, and now I'm gonna tighten it. Make sure it's center. All right, now I get this other one. I'm gonna get that in there as best I can. I'm gonna go under the drumsticks a little bit. A little tricky to tighten this one, but it will work. Okay. Nice. I think I did a pretty good job. The real test would be when it actually starts cooking, but great start. So they give you this little tool that you can put in there easily so I can wash my hands. All right, I just washed my hands and now I wanna like grab some of the stuff, but you know, then I'd have to wash my hands again. So I'm gonna try to work around this. Just gonna dump this excess marinade. We got this little tool here, which you can lift the chicken. I just wanna be careful with the dripping juice everywhere. All right, so all you gotta do is just get those two little knobs in. Just gonna utilize some of this extra marinade that went on the cutting board. Just gonna throw it on there. Can't hurt. So a lot of it's gonna drip off, but that's all right. We're gonna do this at 350. We're gonna start with 45 minutes and then take the temperature. All right, so we got it in there. It's cooking away. We did this at 350, which I think is perfect for the rotisserie. No worries, if you don't have one of these, you can absolutely do this in the oven. I will leave the exact instructions for cooking it in the oven in the caption, but it will be absolutely delicious in the oven, don't worry. This is just something I really enjoy using, but gonna cook away now, probably about an hour it'll take to cook. I'm gonna take the temperature at about 45 minutes, make sure it's almost there, and we'll keep an eye on it. All right, so our chicken is going. It's already smelling amazing the first 10 minutes. Now we're gonna go ahead and get started with that yellow rice. I have some rice that's been soaking for a few hours. I've talked about this before, but always a good idea to do that. I have some chicken bone broth we're gonna use as the base. And this is a great way to add some extra protein. Talked about this before as well. Some turmeric, it's gonna give it that yellow color, some flavor. And then we have some onion, some garlic, and that's gonna give it a lot of flavor. All we're gonna do is saute the onion and the garlic for a couple minutes, toast up the rice with that turmeric, just throw it in the rice cooker with the bone broth, salt and pepper, and it'll be a perfect side dish for that chicken and rice meal. Usually I use yellow onion. All I had was red today, but no big deal. I love these little onions. So you rarely use a whole onion in a recipe. So these little ones are so convenient. You don't have to throw out or half the onion, or I'll put it half in the fridge and then it's moldy 2 weeks later. This onion is from my peeps at Meacham Farm. If you haven't watched that video already, I strongly suggest you do. All right, we got that onion. Last thing is just the garlic. The regular setting's at 375, but sometimes it'll just get a little too burnt on the outside, so I think 350 will be perfect. Just gonna throw some salt in here with the bone broth. I like to put a good amount. Make sure anytime you are cooking with turmeric, you add some black pepper. Black pepper will increase that absorption rate, I think up to 1,000%. That's why anytime you see a turmeric supplement, it will always have black pepper in it. So best practice, if you're ever gonna use it, throw some black pepper in there, can't hurt. I also love these multicolored peppercorns. We got our pan, pretty hot. You can do any oil, any fat. I'm using butter. All we're gonna do is saute the onions a little bit, get them a little bit soft, add the garlic, cook that for about a minute, and then we are gonna add the turmeric and the rice and toast that up. Turmeric, we want about a teaspoon or so. Again, I usually use yellow onion, but the red will do. Just hope it doesn't make the color of the rice weird. I like to toast it until the color is evenly dispersed. Now I'm just gonna throw it in the rice cooker. I already put salt and pepper in there. So we're just gonna, oh, spilled some, mix it up, and we're ready to go. So it's been cooking for about 30 minutes, not quite there, but now that it's starting to crisp up, we're gonna start basting it every 10, 15 minutes or so. So I just have one of these brushes, and obviously you can see this fat is dripping on the bottom. So we're just gonna hit that and just do the best you can to baste it. And this will continue giving it that nice texture on the outside, that crispy skin. That chicken fat is gorgeous. All right, so it's been in there for about 45 minutes. We're just gonna take the temp, see where we're at. Ideally, we want the breast to be at about 160, and we want the drumsticks and thighs to be a little bit higher than that. Tough to make it perfect, but because it's been cooking nice and low and slow, it's gonna be nice and tender. So gonna take the temp and we'll see where we're at. All right, breast, a little bit low. Drumsticks are close. So we're about 10 degrees off or so, so probably another 5-10 minutes and we should be good to go. Make sure we let it rest, but I'll talk about that after. All right, so we're just gonna fluff it up. You know the drill. I always like to add some butter or ghee at the end, just gives it that nice glossy finish. You can skip it if you want. If you wanna lose weight, maybe skip the butter or keep it to a minimum. And that doesn't mean that butter is unhealthy, it's just very calorie dense. So it's cooked for about an hour, should be about done. All right, so it's done. We took the temperature. We're about 160 in the breast, that's perfect. We're gonna let it rest for at least 15, more so 20 minutes. Just wanna make sure we don't cut it right away because all that juice is gonna come out. If we let it rest, that juice will kind of disperse back into the meat. So we're gonna let it rest, then we're gonna carve it up, plate it up with that rice, that sauce, and we'll be ready to go. All right, we're just gonna snip this butcher twine off. You know, it held up pretty good, I would say. My tying skills have been improved over the years. Got a little risky with smoking for a minute. Let's get the firearm's gonna go off for sure, but made out all right. Look at that crispy skin right there. That is gorgeous. For some reason this side didn't get as crispy, but gonna be delicious regardless. All right, time to carve this bird up. I'm not the best at this. I am no butcher, but I'll do the best I can. So we're gonna start with the breast. Gonna try to cut it as close to the spine or to that middle bone as possible. So I'm just gonna carve down here. I'm just gonna do it at a little bit of an angle to cut it clean. What's inside? Which I would assume is normal. I'm sure people will let me know how wrong I'm doing this in the comments. Look at that, perfect breast. Yeah, what are the haters gonna say now? Got a little bit more meat that we'll be picking off later, but the drumstick and the thigh. But it's coming right off. Skin came off a little bit there, but that's all right. The wing I'm just gonna kind of pull off. Get a little bit more of this meat here. So good. I was about to go wash my hands, but I'm just gonna touch it again. Look how juicy that breast is. That is how you know you've succeeded right there. All right, final product is done. The rice is done, the sauce is ready, and the chicken is done. We carved it up. Time to do the first taste test. We're gonna try just the chicken by itself, without the sauce first. One of the best chicken breasts you'll ever have, but my favorite part is the sauce. So let's do that. So juicy for a chicken breast, and that sauce is just incredible. You could literally just grill a bunch of chicken breasts on the grill and make that sauce, would be delicious, but that chicken's amazing. Let me try wing. The skin is the best part, and look at how that just comes right off. I hope I'm not making horrible chewing sounds right into the camera. So good. I love with a little bit of the sauce, the chicken over the top. I've made this rice many, many times, and it's a perfect side dish for anything, but goes perfect here. All right, thanks for watching, guys. This was a really fun one. Of course, if you have any questions or any recipes that you would like to see, just leave that in the comments. If you like this video, always appreciate it if you like and subscribe, and we will see you guys soon.